Hey, what's up, you guys? Me, your boy, Taboda. So, I know I haven't really updated in a pretty hot minute, but it's because I've been busy at basic training. For those of you who don't know, I joined the Army National Guard for Illinois. It's pretty lit. I went to basic training, I somehow passed, and now I'm an AIT. For those of you who don't know what I am doing, I'm a 91 Charlie, which means I basically work with like a little bit of everything. AC is the main thing, but I'm gonna learn how to work with pretty much basically gonna learn how to fix everything. That's what 91 Charlie basically does. Anything in the 91 series. I don't know, my camera's moving ghosts. Anyway, so in case you couldn't figure out what this video was gonna be about by the name of the title, it's gonna be about love and Valentine's Day, because everyone needs a little bit of love on Valentine's Day. Oh my god, this is just like my love life, it's falling apart. Alright, that's fine. My pop socket doesn't want to work. Anyway, fix that. There we go. Oh, that's better. Anyway, so I thought it'd be fun to explain my thoughts on Valentine's Day while I silently rant because I'm single. No, I actually don't mind being single anymore. For the longest time, I really did. I hated the idea of it just being me, because one of my greatest fears would have to be that one day it's just gonna be me. And what I mean by that is, like, I'm the youngest in my family. My brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, like, everyone has somebody. And everyone has somebody to kind of, like, be there after they're gone. Like, that sounds dark and, like, emo. I promise it's not. But what I mean is, like, they're not gonna be alone when it's, like, their time to go. And for me, it sucks because it's just like, wow, I'm the youngest by, like, a lot. Like, 10 years is, like, the closest I am to my siblings. To my second oldest sibling. That's, like, the second youngest is I'm 10 years apart. So it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be alone when it's my time to go. Then again, I joined the military, so that might be a lot sooner than I thought. But what I mean, though, is that for the longest time, one of my biggest fears was that, like, by the way, the one whistling is my roommate. But yeah, so for the longest time, I was scared that one day I was gonna, like, just be alone. So I really hated being single. So what I did to compensate for the fact that I had no game was I just started, flirting up a storm with anyone and everyone. The problem with that is that it severely backfired. Valentine's Day for me growing up kind of sucked. I was that kid in school, like, being like, all the way from elementary to middle school, I had a really hard time fitting in. I lived in Munster, Indiana for a pretty long time, and I think I was, like, the only Hispanic, like, legit Hispanic kid, and I was, like, chubby, and I was not that smart. I used to go to, like, extra help classes for, like, math and reading for, like, pretty much all of elementary school. But yeah, so I got picked on a lot, and I remember Valentine's Day was one of those days that I kind of, like, I was excited for, because I remember seeing all the other kids, like, we would make our little bags, we would decorate them, and people would drop in candy, and they'd be like, oh, personalized, like, oh my god, happy Valentine's Day, Tiffany. Like, that was kind of like what, that was like the hype day for most kids. I was unfortunately in that group of kids that wasn't allowed to get that hyped. I remember one year I put my bag out, and the teacher was like, all right, everyone, like, bring your candy and drop them in the bags. And there was actually a rule, like, hey, like, every kid's supposed to have enough candy to put in everyone's bag in the classroom, so that way no kid gets excluded. Apparently, though, the parents did not give a fuck. So what happened was that, I remember one specific Valentine's Day, it was time to go around the classroom and dump your candy in everyone's bag. Well, I brought candy, of course, for everyone, because I'm a rule follower, because I'm literally in the army, of course I'm a rule follower. But, yeah, so I went back to my little baggie, and I only had one piece of candy, and it was from the teacher. It was a Tootsie Roll. Like, the saddest candy for the saddest kid in class. So I was already not on a great note. I was already off to a bad note with Valentine's Day as it was. Then I got to high school, and then Valentine's Day became this really big commercialized romantic event where, like, if you didn't have somebody, like, you're basically, like, gonna die alone. Like, that's how it was pretty much marketed all through high school for me. Like, you need a Valentine, you need to, like, have this, you need to have that, if you don't, you suck. And, like, obviously, like, it's not true, but still, being a teenager, an impressionable teenager, I might add, it sucked because you always felt excluded. You always felt like you weren't going to fit in. And you felt like, oh wow, like what's wrong with me? Like that's what it became down to. It was like, oh, like am I that ugly that no one could love me? And like obviously now I'm like, okay, I'm a solid 7. You know, I'm feeling myself tonight. It's probably gonna go down to like a solid like 6.5 tomorrow. But like improvement from when I was 14 when I was just a little circle. Not to say anything bad about circles. I think circles are great. They're a really good shape. I don't know where this sentence is going. Anyway, back to Valentine's Day. So then when I was 14, I was in my first relationship. That was like, I don't want to say serious because when you're a teenager, like they all seem serious. But it was like my first relationship, and I think this was like the first like legit relationship where I was like genuinely excited to be in. Well, I remember it was Valentine's Day, and the person I was with was like, oh my god, like they were telling me like, I can't wait for you to show me your presents. I can't wait, you know, just really excited. Which makes sense because when you're a freshman, you're like, oh my god, like I'm like becoming an adult. Like that's what it feels like, right? So what happened was though is that I guess I didn't bring a good enough present. So then my date, or the person I was in a relationship at the time, got like really mad about that. And they're like, oh, you just brought me chocolates and a rose? Like, that was like the most generic thing you could get. But that was like one of the most generic things you could get though, like as a teenager, as a freshman, as a 14-year-old kid. Like, I don't know what they were expecting. So that was like me getting publicly embarrassed at a restaurant. That kind of sucked. So I didn't really date throughout most of high school. I had like 1 day, 2 day relationships. Like that was me in high school. Cause after like, I want to say it was after my sophomore year, I genuinely stopped believing in love. Okay, this is gonna sound weird. I love love, but I don't like love. I love love in other people. I think love exists in like when a dog loves its owner and an owner loves its dog, or like parent, or like mom and like her kid, siblings, you know, like I believe in that kind of love. Or friends. I think friend is like a legit kind of love too, because that's basically family. But the love that I kind of have to like put like an X through for a little bit was romantic love. The reason why I kind of stopped believing, like, obviously those are all like reasons building up to it. The reason why I stopped believing in it though is that there was one point where I was in I thought it was a pretty nice relationship. They, I guess, got second thoughts. I don't know. It sounds silly. I was 17. I had basically been with this person for almost a year. And I remember I was putting myself in such a shitty situation. I don't know. Oh, by the way, the one whistling is my roommate. He tends to do that randomly. So if you hear whistling, that's him. But yeah, so I was in a relationship, and then I kept putting myself. What happened was that I was wearing myself thin for this person, and I'm that person who like I won't say what's bothering me until like it's like to the breaking point, which is really bad on my behalf. But yeah, so for the longest time, like we're in a relationship, and we were very discreet about it. I was discreet because it was me. They were discreet because it was them. You know, it was just kind of like one of those things that we both kind of agreed on. Well, one day we were like hanging out, and one of our friends was there, and one of our friends kind of figured like, oh, are you two guys like dating? And then of course like that led to the whole drama of them being like, no, we're not dating. Like, oh, that's weird. And it would have I feel like, yeah, it still would have hurt my feelings, but it hurt more mostly because like before that happened, like I guess like I said, it sounds dramatic, it's silly, it's dumb, but right before this all happened, like that argument occurred, they had said I loved you, like literally like 2 days before, and I had said I loved you back, and it was the first time I ever like said it but genuinely meant it. Like this was the person who like made me feel really excited to like wake up every day, and like I was like, okay, cool, like there's someone who's out there that's like me, and someone who like wants, like, it was just the thought of like, you know what it was? It was the thought that like there's somebody out there who's just excited to see me as I am to see them. Like that was such a great feeling to have, to be like, oh my god, somebody actually wants to see me. And like it wasn't like a sexual or anything like that kind of relationship. It wasn't like, oh, I just want you to make out. Like it was one of the ones like, I just want to talk to you. Like that would make my day. Like that I think that was the one and only relationship I've ever had so far where it's been like that, where it's like, I just want to talk to you, and that's gonna make my day. But yeah, so then our friend figured it out, and that led to a whole new set of problems. But as soon as they said, what, no, like that's weird, like, oh, I would never, that like kind of broke me in that sense of like, wow, love isn't real. I feel like I not only like the I love you, but like the whole love aspect, I was just like, really? I was like, you're just gonna say that? You're gonna say like that's not real? You're gonna say that this is just a sham because you're scared? But obviously like now being older, like I understand like where it was coming from, but still that's when I stopped believing in love for like the longest time. And you know, obviously I should have been an adult and been like, oh my god, well, whatever. But no, it hurt, because I feel like when you say I love you to somebody and you genuinely say it, whether which way you take it, it's gonna hurt 10 times worse if you take it back. And that's what they did. So then I was kind of like, you know what, this whole romantic I love you business isn't for me. I don't think it's real. I think it's something that someone really mean created and played off of people's, because this is what Valentine's Day is. It makes people who are in love feel better than everyone else, and it makes people who are single feel shittier about themselves. It makes you feel like if you have something on Valentine's Day, like that's literally what a lot of people do though, is that they'll like literally look through their old contacts and be like, oh my god, like do I have anyone to love on Valentine's Day? It's like, get a cat, lady, like damn. As I say that, it's literally me. But yeah, so anyway, so I don't really believe in the whole aspect of love. It's not my cup of tea. I don't think it's tea. I think it's honestly like, I think it's coffee with just like creamer and milk and fucking sugar dumped into it. Like that's all love is. It's not even tea. It's not even hot tea. It's not even cold tea. It's fucking hot chocolate with sugar, extra sugar. But yeah, so for the longest time I didn't believe in it. And when people would say I love you, I would not say it back. I'd be like, cool. I would say I love you to my friends and to my family, but that was about it. Because when I say I love you, and even then, like to my friends for like a while too, I was like, I love you like family, and then I was like, but this is about Valentine's Day. That's a whole other story time. So, yeah. So I have this friend. So I jump to present day. I have this friend White, and I have this friend Dally. They met at basic training. A little cute romantic story time. They met in basic training, and they just kind of hit it off. They had a lot in common. They really, enjoyed each other's presence. But like, I hadn't really, obviously she always told me about him. We were in the same company, or the same platoon. But she would always talk about him. She's like, oh my god, Dally this and Dally that. And like, me being me, like having all these friends that are like in relationships and getting engaged, of course, like I've heard it all before. So I was like, oh, but I wasn't gonna be a jerk about it. I wasn't gonna be like, oh my god, we'll get away. I was just like, okay, cool, like, good for you. Like obviously like me, I was like, oh. I actually do that a lot to them too. Like when they're being cute, I'll be like, but yeah, but she was like genuinely happy, and like Dally, when I would see him, he'd be like, oh, like really happy. Like I never really watched the interaction like in action. So then today, we're in AIT now. Last year, sorry, doing some more freedom. We went to a food truck. Dally saw him to be there. It was by chance. It was really lucky of us. White was really ecstatic, and of course I was like, okay guys, go have your moment, go be lovey-dovey, great. So I was on my phone, and they're like talking to each other. They can't have any physical contact, but they can talk to each other. And I'm just kind of there on my phone being like, okay, waiting for her to kind of finish the conversation, go back to the barracks. And I look up, and what do I see? I see White's on her phone and Dally's looking at her. And obviously you're gonna be like, oh, what'd you see? With stars and sparkle in the eyes? Yes, I did. What I saw actually was that White was on her phone looking down, and Dally was looking at her. And I think what fucked me up bad, like emotionally ruined me, but like in a good way, was Dally was like staring at her, but like the most genuine smile I think I'd ever seen. His eyes, like I can't make this up, guys. Like they were literally sparkling. He was so like amazed by her, and all she was doing was just laying going down her phone like that. And he had like this like most genuine, but it was his smile though that like caught me off guard. He was just like really, it was like he was looking at like $1 million. Like that's what that look was. He was like so in love with it, and I was like, oh my god, he's in love with her. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, I got kind of scared because I was like, oh no, he's in love with her. How's she gonna, what's she like? And I love White. She's my best friend. But still, like, that back in my head, I was like, oh, like, that's for me, that's like a warning danger zone. I'm like, I don't fuck with that. So then Dahlia goes on his phone, she looks up, and now she's looking at him, and I look over at White, and then I was like, whoa. So she literally, like, I don't even know how to describe it. She copied his look, though, somehow, like, same amount of enthusiasm, which was a lot of enthusiasm. Like, eyes were just, like, really, like, dilated. She was just, like, and, like, the most, like, most genuine grin. Again, roommate. But most, like, genuine grin, though. Like, she was, again, like, she was looking at, like, $1 million. And she was really, like, just really invested into, like, looking at Dahlia. And Dahlia was so invested in looking at her. And, like, what threw me off is that they weren't even looking at each other at the same time. It was just, one person look up and be like, I'm really glad you're here. And then I noticed that, like, their hands were, like, kind of shaking. And I got worried because I was like, I was a sports medic. I was like, oh shit, what's wrong? But then, White Lady told me, she was like, yeah, she was like, I was shaking. And I was like, why? And she was like, I think because it's like, she told me, like, she was like, I was so excited to, like, just see him. But, like, I couldn't, like, physically hug him because it's AIT. He also sings. She was like, I was so excited just to see him. She was like, that, like, my body didn't know how to contain the joy. And I was like, wow. I was like, how wonderful it must be to, like, be so happy that, like, literally your body can't contain the happiness like that. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, hate to admit it. I'm not gonna admit it all the way, but I will admit this. I think love is real, but I think it's rare and it takes time. This was very lucky for them. But they were, like, really invested in each other, and I was just sitting there, and the thing is that I'm not really bitter, like, I'm like, oh my god, like, I wish I had, like, not really, but it kind of, like, made me happy to be like, okay, like, love isn't out of the question. Obviously I don't have to find somebody now or, like, feel like I need somebody, but it made me feel like, okay, like, it's gonna come along eventually, even if it's just for a minute, like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen the right way, though, and I was kind of like, but, like, seeing those two together and then just sitting here and being like, you know what? My little Grinch heart grew 2 sizes today, guys. But it just kind of made me feel, like, really happy. I was like, you know what? Maybe this whole thought of love isn't real. I was like, yeah, I've had a lot of bad experiences with it. I've seen a lot of bad things happen with it around the topic of love. But I was like, wow, 2 people who are kind of, like, low-key in extreme conditions. Like, they don't get to see each other, talk to each other is very limited, they can't physically touch each other, but yet the whole, like, I don't even know how to describe what was happening in that area when it, like, actually happened, like, the interaction, but it was, like, the whole, like, wow, like, I'm just happy you're here. Like, that's what made me kind of, like, it hit me in the chest, because I was like, wow, like, I felt that once. And I kind of felt it for, like, a minute when they were, like, when White was telling me about, like, the experience. I was like, you know what, I felt that once. So maybe love is real. It might not always work out the way you hope it does, but it is real. And I thought, you know what, how lucky it is just to feel it. You might not have it forever, you might not have it for even, like, 5 minutes, but how lucky anyone is to just have that feeling, like, genuine love feeling for even a minute. And I was kind of like, you know what, okay, love is real. It might not happen right now. It might not even happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 20 years, who knows when. But it's gonna happen at least once or twice in your life. So I'm hoping that I didn't just feel it that one time. I hope I get it twice if I'm lucky. But it made me kind of feel, like, a little bit at ease. I was like, you know what, yeah. Love is real, I can confirm. But yeah, so that's my Valentine's Day story time for you guys. I know it's the day after Valentine's Day, but this shit's not easy to post. I hope you guys have a really great day. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will come back with more story times because the army's crazy, guys. A lot of shit happens. But I just felt bad because I haven't updated, and I just felt like this is one of the things I really want to share with you on the interwebs, you know what I mean. But yes, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please stay safe. And remember, it's your boy Taboda signing off, and have a splendid day.